Hello Cheetah Stand, Godox, and Adorama fans. This is Ulysses from Ulysses Photography, and I just wanted to preview something that I hope will be as exciting to you as it was to me when I received it. Most of you here are very familiar with the full complement of Cheetah Stand slash Godox built speedlights, bare bulb flashes, and strobes. And we've got a variety of flavors of those lights for Canon users, Nikon users, as well as Sony. But if you shoot Olympus, like we see here, for instance, this is the Olympus OMD EM1 Mark II. It's the current flagship for the Olympus company, and I really enjoy the camera a lot. I shoot it alongside my standard Nikon gear. And many people are shifting over or adding mirrorless cameras to their camera bag. They like the lightweight factor along with some of the unique options that are available to mirrorless cameras. But to date, I've always had to use manual flash, which is fine. I enjoy manual flash, but I haven't had access to high-speed sync or TTL if I wanted to use that. And I've been fine with that. I make do. But if you shoot Canon, Nikon, or Sony, you have access to those more advanced tools. And it would be nice if you shoot mirrorless if you weren't limited by those types of options. What Godox has done is they have announced their intent to build and market and make available a flash that will be compatible with your Olympus camera, presumably compatible with Panasonic as well. And they afterwards will release a Fuji version of those flashes and transmitters so that pretty much a broad cross-section of shooters, almost no matter what you shoot, will then have the option available to them of shooting and controlling master and slave Godox built lights. And Cheetah Stand is going to carry a number of those products. Well, up to this point, what we've had available to us, if you're an Olympus user, is this little guy. This tiny flash is the FL-LM3. It's tiny. And you can understand why that would be the case. Olympus just wants to maintain the lightweight factor while still giving you a little flash that can, if you're using it in direct flash mode, it'll light a face up. It'll light maybe a few objects right in front of the camera, but clearly this flash doesn't have much power. Also, it draws its power directly from the hot shoe of the camera. And so, it's limited, useful, but limited. Well, Godox has released, or will be releasing, this little baby. This is the TT350O. Now, if you shoot Sony, you'll already recognize this flash because this flash is available for your camera. And although Cheetah Stand is not yet carrying it, they have announced their intent to carry the TT350 for Olympus and Panasonic. And down the road, if they release a Fuji version, then Fuji shooters will have one too. I'll bring in the V860X so you can kind of see the relative sizes of everybody. This is the big boy, the standard that we use on our Nikon and Canon cameras. There is a Sony version as well. And so you can see the obvious advantages of a flash like the TT350. And if you have that mounted onto your lightweight Olympus, Panasonic, or Fuji camera, then you get to maintain the same lightweight factor, but you also have access to controlling your other Cheetah Stand and Godox products. Now, let's just look at a couple of the features of this flash. Here we have the power button at the bottom right-hand corner, and if we turn that on, you'll see the typical screen that you're accustomed to. You have a dial that allows you to change power. You have, of course, the red, I call it a pilot light, or a test light. And if you press that just like normal, it will pop a flash for you. You're familiar with that. We have a mode button on the left Next to that, we can control our zoom manually or automatically, just like you might be familiar with. On the next one, the third button, is a sync button, which will also control the various wireless selections that you might want. For instance, you might want to put the flash in wireless optical or in wireless radio mode. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And here on the right we have the button, it's called slave, but it also controls groups and channel selections. Now, I've had a chance to take a look at this flash, and it does operate in TTL for Olympus users. And that is awesome to have another TTL option for those who want it, and to have high-speed sync available. I tested it. The high-speed sync does work for this flash. And so those are the good things. But this flash is not in full development yet. And so what I found is that this flash is still waiting for a firmware update that will give it the full complement of full features to operate properly as a master flash, as well as a slave flash, either in radio mode or in optical. Right now, all those features are not there. So if I want to use this flash, the only and the most effective way is to put it in the hot shoe of my Olympus camera. But the promise is there, and Godox is definitely working on those things. And as soon as the firmware has been provided for the TT350O, I'll download that firmware, and then I'll be able to report back to you with how well it's performing. As particularly, I'm interested in it being a master to control my other Godox flashes, speed lights, and strobes. And once we have all of those things in place, then mirrorless users are going to be in business. We have a lot to look forward to. And so that's good news for Olympus users, Panasonic shooters, as well as Fuji shooters. Let's just look at a couple of other things related to this flash, just so I can take care of a couple of questions that you might have. Now, we've already looked at the buttons themselves. It's simple, but it's full-featured. The head on the flash rotates, I think, what would you say, 270 degrees. If you turn it to the right, it can rotate directly behind. If we rotate it to the left, it'll turn only 90 degrees from the forward. So altogether, you've got a range of 270 degrees of motion for the head. I wish it went all the way around, but that shouldn't be a problem. It swivels in the right directions that you need to do most things. We'll turn it off, and then we'll flip the battery door open, and you can see that it uses not the lithium batteries, but it uses two AA batteries. And there you also see the USB port. What is that, mini USB or micro USB? And that's where you'll plug in to update the firmware. There's also the AF assist beam, as well as the optical communication chamber. That's what's covered in red. And the autofocus assist beam will come from that tiny little dot there at the bottom. And so what else do we have here? We have the screen that allows you to diffuse the light and send it out at a 14 millimeter field of view and angle. You've got the white bounce card that's also a part of it. So it's got all of the important things that a larger flash would have, that the V860X would have. So we fully expect it to be a very capable flash, and I'm most interested in the way that it'll be able to control my other speed lights, bare bulb, and strobes from Cheetah Stand. And as you would expect, it will be compatible with and can control any others that are made by Godox. For instance, the 360X or the 362, as well as the CL600X. In Godox speak, that's the AD600. So if this little flash can control all of that, well then we are going to be cooking with gas, as they say. And so we've got good reasons to be excited, a lot to look forward to. So if you are an Olympus or a Panasonic or Fuji shooter, then stay tuned, because as we get these things updated, and we'll have a closer look at them to see how well they're working, and we will pass that information right on to you.